Hi, everyone. How are you? Um, I don't know where you are, but the weather here is kind of gloomy. I don't know if you're in California, but if you are, I hope you're staying safe with all the snow. So this week, uh, in teaching the children, it's becoming more and more interesting because, as I said before, I'm watching them grow as well. And I don't know about you, but I can't believe that we're so into Lent, midway through. And before you know it, we'll be dealing with Easter and all of those beautiful readings that we deal with during the Easter time. But this week was very interesting in terms of teaching the children because the topic that came up from last week, and I have them kind of review the week before last week's lesson was the topic of anger. And I just wanted to know, how did they deal with it and how did they do it? And I don't know what happened, but a whole bunch of stuff just kept coming out, mostly about school. Um, the difference between being annoyed and being anger, that was another discussion. And I could see where they would get annoyed with certain things. School's tough. School can be tough. And especially middle school, and they're 12 years old and they're trying to decide who really are their best friends and who stays that way, who's loyal. And so it's easy time for kids. And and then talking about, we had talked about previously how Jesus, from last Sunday, um, gospel had turned over the tables so that Jesus could get angry too. Uh, so, you know, talked about that. And I'm telling you, they were really into this whole anger issue. And I'm glad that they had a space to talk about it. They talk to their parents about these things. I know that for sure. But there's something about, I think, when you're taking it outside of the immediate family, and they know it's still safe, and they know they have validation, and it's done with a lot of nurturing because that's what we do. So I'm glad. I'm glad to see that they felt comfortable enough to do that. And of course, they talked about being angry with, people in their families, and that was coming a lot of jibber jabbering going on between in the lesson. And I finally had to say, listen, stop, kind of picking on each other. Well, she does this and he does that, and that makes me angry. And I thought I opened up a Pandora's box in talking about it. Then again, it was important to talk about it because what we had to discuss was, how do you handle it? What do you do when you're angry? What do you do about the people you're angry with? The idea of praying for them didn't go over well. I mean, it just didn't happen. Even though that's the thing to do and probably the adult thing to do, they kind of weren't buying it yet. I can see that. So I see that's hard. It's hard to pray for someone that makes you angry, but we're taught that we should, but you'll work your way up into that. Um, but maybe you should pray for the situation right now. Pray, before you go to bed or when you say your prayers, pray for those people in that, and mostly asking God how to deal with, you know, these people and your feelings about being angry. And what are you going to do? How do you deal with it? And then they got into specifics like taking a walk, uh, but, pounding a pillow. Yeah, I get that. And that's important to get it out, but I think bringing the faith piece into it and the prayer piece into it just kind of soothed it, soothed it over. Uh, because we all get angry, and it can be a devastating thing. And to be angry about things that are important to be angry about. And we did talk about that, things around the world. And, when we talked about anger, my granddaughter, Sage, talked mostly about anger right here in her own little bubble, where Justin said, you can get angry when you see poverty and where you see injustices to the world, and the world, what people have to deal with. And I thought that was very good. And I said, you're both right. We deal with these things that should anger us on many different levels. And the thing is, where do we fit in and how can we help out in the situation? But to pray about it and to know that Jesus got angry too, and that's okay. Um, so that was it. And again, this time, these readings recently, a lot about covenant, a lot about commandments, and how does that happen in your lives? We talked about lying, we talked about, and I just love their honesty. So I could see, I would lie about that, but at the end of the day, take what are the consequences of? So they were very open to that. And Sage still was a little sulky because she's still annoyed at the people at school, but um, we got through it. One of the things that really touched me, I would say, in talking about faith, there was a piece in the curriculum. Now remember their venture. So in the piece of the curriculum, they had to choose, well, write in spaces people in their lives who have been, people who've shown their faith or have been examples of faith. So, they put in their parents and grandma. Well, hello, here I am. Um, but one thing interesting that Justin did, he put in his sister Sage. And I said, you put Sage down as a person of faith that, teaches you? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, how? And I was waiting for, but he said, because we're doing this together. We're learning this all together. And sometimes she says things that really mean something to me. And I think she has a lot of faith. And I was like, whoa, that was really a cool moment for anybody. You don't even have to be a grandmother to have a cool moment about that. But just the fact that he can recognize in his own sister, who he was just annoyed at, um, that still he sees her as a person of faith that he can learn from. Um, for the younger children this week, a lot of talk about light. And younger children can really attest to that. We dealt with it a little bit, but the anger took us over this week, and it was important, as I said. But light, and the season of light is really coming. I know Christmas is, but this is the big light. And I'm thinking about the Paschal candle and how it's good to point that out to the children, and just that Jesus is the light and what that means on their terms and on their levels. So this was a good week. It was a different kind of a week. I kind of got a nice surprise in a couple of ways. I was definitely surprised in different ways, but it's good that you can be there. We can be there for them and learning. I was just at a meeting last night at church. Um, Grandparents are worried. They're really worried about what's going to happen to their grandchildren in terms of faith, and they're confused by it because they felt they did all the right things. And so that's for another conversation, another time. We're, I think, on the right road, at least trying, and somehow, and I think if we're honest with ourselves, we'll see how it's working, and it's just beneficial on many different levels. So have a good week. We'll be getting ready, for uh, you know, like I said, Easter is coming and St. Patrick's Day is coming, and there's a lot of things coming down the pike. But for this week, enjoy those grandchildren and learn from them. I know I am. Take care. God bless you. Bye bye.